Heidi ho, everyone. How are you? This is Sharyn Combs, and you are watching Knowledge or Nonsense. This is where we vet patterns, processes, perspectives. Is it knowledge or is it nonsense? This is also where we really look at things because we want to stimulate and inspire those listening to come up with new and innovative approaches to things, to relook at maybe some of the things you are looking at, and to give you tools, practical tools, and internal tools to help you navigate all of the changes that go with being a person in healthcare. Healthcare is a giving profession. It does not always give a reward that is not internal, but it is an amazing profession. And so today we're going to talk about how you leave the room. Doom, doom. How do you leave a room? Do you leave it better? Do you leave it the same way it was? Like, how do you leave a room and how are you being intentional in how you leave a room? So, you know what to do. Please go to that comment section. Let us know where you're watching from, what city you're watching from. Like and follow, subscribe, hit the bell so that you can be notified when we're speaking. Also, if you have a comment that you want to share and you want us to address it, put it in there. If you don't want people to know that you're actually making that comment on social media, guess what? We have a text line that is designed and designated to give you the privacy you desire. Text 214-717-5921. Put your comment in that text. I will address the text. I will share it with my guests, my guests now, maybe even my guests in the future if it can get a better response. But we want to get you the information that you need. We appreciate you being a part with us. We appreciate you sharing your time with us. And we just appreciate the healthcare industry on the whole, SPD especially. No hate, don't be mad. It's true, it's true. Because healthcare is a giving place. And we appreciate the fact that you're still here and you're still giving with all of the challenges, with all the barriers, even now how there's not enough people it seems to go around, yet you're here and yet you're still giving. So without further ado, I'm going to play this intro video. You have about 22 seconds. Go ahead, share the video, get ready, get your popcorn, get your questions, get your tea if you're just here for the tea, and I'll be right back with our guest tonight. It's going to be a great conversation. Hello. Hey.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, you sound amazing. Your acoustics are just beautiful. They're beautiful where you are. Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined by Tammy Heacock. I want to be sure I pronounce your name correctly. Is it Tammy Heacock?
It's Heacock, but people say Heacock. It's spelled like Heacock, so.
Oh, you're so kind, but no, I have it now. Hey, like, hey, girl, hey.
Like,
hey, yes. Oh, you're so gracious. You've always been gracious to me with that. So Tammy Heacock. Guys, this is Tammy Heacock, a healthcare leader, very knowledgeable in surgical support, but also very knowledgeable as far as being a leader and someone who leaves the room in a better place. And tonight we're going to talk about how do you leave the room? So before I jump into anything else, before I just do all your accolades and your achievements, the fact that you speak at conferences nationwide, the fact that you've spoken at HSPA on more than one occasion, the fact that you've been from community hospitals to system hospitals, being aware in different regions of how things work. Before I just list all those things again, I want to ask you, when you hear how are we leaving the room, what are some of the first thoughts that come to you?
Just right off. I mean, when you ask, how do I leave the room? Did I walk into a caustic, toxic room and walk out, leaving it worse than it was? Or did I walk in, take my seat at the table and change the narrative? Because I think a lot of times, unintentionally, I don't think anybody ever walks into a room like that and says, you know what, I'm going to join this party. I'm going to get right in with this toxicity and let's get nothing done today. But you real quick become a product of your environment, and all of a sudden you pivot right into that, they're not respecting me. They're not hearing me. And then you start to posture and you puff up a little bit. And next thing you know, you're right in that rabbit hole with the rest of the crowd. So I always think about that. Did I leave that room in a better space, no matter what the environment is, and no matter what someone thinks of me, because that's not what's important, right? Did I leave that room better than I found that room? And maybe it's just picking up a gum wrapper off the floor, hypothetically, obviously, and throwing it in the trash. But I did one small thing that left that room in better shape than I found it.
You made a statement. You said just now, you said, not being worried about how they feel about me, because that's not what's the most important. It's not the focus even right now. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I've had multiple leaders and my new boss right now, actually, she reiterates it all the time. And I have passed this information down. I just recently lost one of my most favorite, most important mentors. And he always said to me, he was teaching me neurophysiology, and I'd always worked with neurosurgeons in the operating room. Not always the kindest. For those of you that don't know, the operating room, sterile processing, healthcare, Sharyn said it great. It's a very giving profession, but it's not very forgiving. And we don't forgive ourselves very often, right? So we make mistakes. We're human beings. Nobody ever intentionally does something wrong in healthcare, but we do make mistakes and we take it personal. And there's a time and a place for that. But there's also when you're in that meeting and someone has a questioning attitude, you can't take those things personal. Or when you're trying to change a process or improve a process that has been the same way for 25 years, and that is the way we've always done it. And you have people that are heels dug in. This is their baby. This is their home that they've been cleaning and nurturing for years and years. And you come in and you're telling them they're doing it wrong and you're going to change it. And they don't like that. And you take that personal. Well, now we're having a fight. Now we're not process improvement. Now we're battling. Now it's like bike rack, 3:00. And I'm going to win this. And it's not about us. We all want to be successful. We want someone to say, life is so much better now that Tammy's here. But you know what? That's not what it's about. You want it to be Tammy came here and as a team, we did blah, blah, blah. And I realize that's kind of a unicorn farting rainbows world, but you can't, when someone questions you or even when someone quote unquote doesn't like you, because that was something I said to Terry multiple times. I'm like, that circulating nurse up north, she just doesn't like me. And he was like, why do you care if she likes you? You're not there to make friends. You're not there to improve your personality. You're there to do a job. Did you do your job well? I did my job great. And he's like, okay, don't take it personal.
Yeah. And that is one of working with leaders. And I used to think it was only new leaders, but that's when I worked with only new leaders. But I understand, no, that is part of transition. When you come into a place new, everybody wants to be well received. But there does come a moment where you have to choose. Do I want to be well received? Do I want to be effective? And if I can't do both, which one wins out? And for me, as for a lot of people, actually for a lot of people both ways. The ones that are more maybe vocal probably decide to be a little more effective. The ones who say, well, I only want to be liked. It's not better. To me, there's a better worse, but yeah, they may not be selected. Go ahead. You're about to say something.
No, and I mean, it is hard, that transition period. Like you said, Sharyn, you come in and everybody's like, big hugs. Oh my gosh, we're so happy to see you. We've been waiting for you, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's excited, right? We're in that excitement state, the honeymoon phase, as we all like to call it, where it's like, oh, we're so excited. And then all of a sudden the realization starts to sit in what this change really means and how this really looks and how it affects me over here. And oh my gosh, she changed this over here. I never thought anybody would ever do that. And then all of a sudden it's everything going everywhere. And you're right. You make that critical decision on, am I going to stay the course and do what's best for us in the long term and for us as a whole? Or am I going to say, hey, I'm Tammy Heacock and I know everything sterile processing and process improvement. and these people are going to just have to sit down and shut up and let me do my thing. Or am I going to be Tammy Heacock, everybody's best friend and pal? And I'm going to figure out a way to put Band-Aids on this and make it work because I want to be everybody's friend.
Yes, it is hard. It's hard. It is hard. It's simple because it's a simple choice, but you still have to process it. As far as being a leader, you are a healthcare leader. People often forget that leaders are indeed people, and with you being a person as well. Drayton, right? Drayton says he wants to be effective.
Yeah.
With you being a person, all people want to be well received. You want the validation.
Right.
There's a value in that. But at the same time, when in order to be well received, you go against what you know to be right or against your values, eventually that shows up.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned that someone near and dear to you recently has gone on. But as far as how you leave the room, what are some of the ways you felt like he left your room?
Oh my gosh, that we could literally spend 3 days talking about that. But
Oh, yeah.
I'll do a great recap again with the don't take it personal. He was a very loving. He was one of those people that no matter what kind of mood you were in when he walked in, you left smiling and laughing. And I think that's one of the, if you talk to anyone I work with right now, and as a matter of fact, we just had this conversation today. We were touring one of our hospital sites, and I said, you know, I'm not always the most professional person on the planet. There are times where I'm getting my message across, but I do it in very unconventional manners. And a lot of times it's like I talked about, we're in this toxic room, things aren't going well in the operating room, you know, somebody is upset. He always taught me, make somebody smile. You know, people ask me all the time, why are you always so happy? He made that really not an option. Like mentally, he helped me retrain myself to always be happy. Does that always mean that on the inside, I'm not struggling a little bit and there's some things I need to deal with? But he taught me how not to be afraid. And when you smile, you stop being scared. And when you find the humor in something, or you can make someone else at that table,
Yeah.
they're so mad at you, or they're so mad. Usually they're not mad at you. Don't take it personal, right? This situation is so hard on them and they're terrified. And now all of a sudden they're smiling and they're laughing with you. It's not perceived as professional, but you just de-escalated the entire situation.
Yes.
So I mean, if that's anything, like if you ask anyone about him, that's the first thing they would say is he always has a smile on his face. So when I hear people say that about me, it touches my heart. And there was never anyone that didn't respect him. There were a lot of people that may not like the way he did things or liked his approach, but everyone respected him because he always had integrity. He always did the right thing. No matter who was there, no matter who was around, you know, he really truly believed. I mean, he walked the walk. He taught, you know, he didn't just talk it. And he really would do, that was the other thing, you know, and my mother, same thing. You treat everyone the same. I would not treat the CEO any different than I treat the person at McDonald's. You know, that person at McDonald's is having a bad day in the drive-in. You're like, geez, crabby pants. How about instead of geez, crappy pants, why don't we smile at them and make their day a little bit better? Like leave that room with a smile, no matter what's going on, because yeah, we all have stuff going on, right? But maybe that little few second smile, like Veronica's saying, it brightens someone's day. That literally doesn't take any effort on yours.
I hear people all the time say it doesn't cost anything to be kind, but it almost seems like it's such a hard thing for individuals sometimes. Like they have to, because it means you have to let go of your anger, your frustration, your list of violations that you are waiting to share with someone, you know, all the things wrong that they did that you're waiting to share with them. And I find that amazing because sometimes within meetings, even if you have meetings, interdisciplinary meetings where things are intersectional, and you have everybody, and we come to this meeting because we are going to problem solve, and you will see at least 40% of individuals, when they come to the meeting, they're wanting to recap Yes, it's like, this is my moment. I'm going to let all of you know. And then all of the time you've cut into the solution time, you know,
Right.
because you're like, no, you come to the room with a different, um, you had a different agenda. So Sherry says that's the most important thing to have, especially in our industry. Not the different agenda that I'm saying now. She's referring to when you were talking. Thank you,
Yep.
Sherry. And Veronica says you have to put others' feelings before your own. So lots of love there. What Veronica put there, I'm going to want us to expound on that a little bit. But before we do that, let's take a quick commercial. When we come back, I want us to talk about ways people leave a room. That gentleman left, he said, leave the room with a smile. He left the room encouraging people. He didn't want you to have any false responsibility, so he was encouraging, he was educational. He also said things that spoke to the caliber of person he believed you to be. So he left a room where you felt more empowered and okay, not like shoulders down, horrible, why are you here, you worm of a person. He didn't Debbie Downer you, he left you empowered. When we come back, I want us to talk about different ways people can leave a room, um, because everyone doesn't leave a room with that same mentality that we're talking about now. So guys, we're going to take a quick break. Hey, don't leave us. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're on the East Coast, West Coast, I don't think there's a South Coast, but down South, Midwest, let us know where you're watching from. We're so glad that you're here with us. We'll be right back. Wow, that bass was booming right there, wasn't it?
Right.
Yes. Listen, I believe in giving everyone opportunities. I want to thank my nephew. My nephew made those beats, and those beats, we use them for the reset. For those of you who don't know about the reset, it's something once a year we do it all together. But that's in August. But as we're coming toward the end of the year, if there's some things that you may want to reset on, some areas you want to give attention to, or you just want to be like, hey, let me get a handle on things and bring everything streamlined again, reach out to us, so we can talk about that 30-day reset. Now, back to how we leave a room. Sometimes people leave a room and they leave a room angry, they leave a room empty, they may leave a room hopeful. But what are some of and the reason I'm asking this is because even when they leave one room, they entering into another. So, what are some reasons people may leave a room like angry or empty or in a rage?
So that situation, like we just spoke about, you can go into that room with the best of intentions, you see things that are wrong, you see things that need to be corrected, and you're trying to lead the team into, being part of the solution, but they don't. They just want to live in history. They just want to continue to be part of the problem.
Oh, that's
And
so
you're
good.
talking and no one's hearing you, and you say, okay, let's level set. Let's talk about, let's explore some solutions. And they say, but this, every time we try, oh, we tried that. Every time we tried that. Every time we tried that. They said it didn't work. It didn't work. So you can leave a room and you can let them live in their anger and their doubt because you allowed it, right? You were finally beat down enough that you were like, oh, you know what? They're probably right. They probably have tried it. It doesn't work. I'm going to just wait. I'm just going to let them solve it because, you as a leader, you always want your team to help you solve things, right? You don't want to do
Yes.
fix and tell every single time, right? So, and a lot of that is history's hard to overcome. So you can leave the room very angry, and then that leaves them feeling empty because whether they want to admit it or not, they're looking to you for that direction. So when you look at them and say, you know what, guys, we're going to pivot, forget it. Y'all are right. We've tried that. It doesn't work. We're going to move on and, we're going to table this for now. You've left them empty. You've left them alone. You just went off. You were the captain and you just jumped on the last lifeboat and went, bye.
Yeah.
And for me as a leader, something I still do today, something I still need to work on, and Sharyn and I have talked about it multiple times. And the reset really helped me with this is because I don't like to see other people hurt. And I remember anytime, when we are failing at something or we do have an opportunity for improvement, I hate the word failing. When we have that opportunity to grow and we're not seeing it in ourselves and we're kind of in that defensive, we're leaving our room defensive, living in our house in defense all the time. And I see that come over someone's face, like one of my managers, and I'm having a conversation and I'm like, they're not hearing me. Like, this room is empty. And I change the way I'm talking to them and it's outside of my comfort zone, right? I know I just left that room empty because they had the wall up. They didn't hear me. And instead of pushing it, and as a leader, that's your job. You've got to find a way to break through that wall. Change the way you're communicating, do something, but you've got to knock that wall down. You're their leader. And you've got to be able to make them understand that, this is what you need to do to grow. This isn't, I don't like it that you talk like this, or I don't like it that your facial expression says this. Your team needs you to communicate with them effectively. And part of being a good leader is understanding that, you know what, some people love it when I come into a room, and we've talked about this before, wearing a unicorn onesie and making jokes. And then I can drive the point home and everybody's like, oh, it takes a deep breath. For some people, that scares the crap out of them.
Yes.
And they don't see anything after the unicorn one. They're like, what's wrong with this lady? Like, I've lost them already. So it's know your audience, right? Know your room.
Know your room.
Determine how you leave the room.
All right. So I wanted to ask you a question about this. So, and the reason I'm asking, because Veronica had put that you have to put others' feelings before your own.
Yes.
So this is what I like about knowledge and nonsense. Tammy is saying, yes, I wholeheartedly disagree, but I completely understand why she's saying it.
Yep.
And I disagree based off something we said at the beginning, because the feelings aren't the main dictator. They are an important part of the conversation and they're going to show up. They're standing up. You have to navigate them. But the solution or what we're there for is going to be something that helps. And that's my opinion. I'll put something up about the opinion of people on here. Go ahead, Tammy. You ready?
Well, I feel like, yes, I said yes. And sorry, Veronica, you can message me on LinkedIn if I'm speaking out of turn, because I'm speaking for you right now. And I know better than to do that. But I feel like I know Veronica from the reset that when she's saying put your others' feelings before your own, like, try to understand why that person is toxic. Try to understand why, instead of trying to figure out why I'm allowing them to let me feel this way and what I'm going to do to make myself feel better. Figure out why. Figure out what happened in what situation that made them so beholden to this broken process, and they won't let go of that's the way we've always done it. Figure out why they're feeling the way they are. So that's putting their feelings before yours. I think that's what Veronica was trying to say.
I know her heart. I totally know her heart and what she meant. Yeah. So maybe be curious, get the rationale, get a deeper understanding. The reason I was saying no, even though I know her heart, I only went with the exact words up because earlier in my career, I would not speak because I put their feelings before, like I trumped their feelings. I trumped their feelings. But yeah, you always want, exactly, Sonia, you always want to consider their feelings, but you weigh their feelings, but you find out what those feelings are tied to, like you said earlier. That's amazing. Yes, find out why. So everybody is saying that. I also feel like, sometimes when people hold on to things, I heard somebody say this father time is undefeated and life teaches. I don't believe you have to wait for life to teach you, because you have Tammy's and Veronica's and Sonia's. There are other tools to help you get a lesson without getting hit on your head. Now, let me back this up. There's a reason I wanted to ask about people leaving the room angry. Here's my challenge. First, I'm going to challenge Tammy Heacock. Hey, I'm going to challenge Tammy because I'm going to ask her to share her response. But for those of you out there listening, I'm challenging you also. This is Sherry, Veronica. Those of you who will listen later, don't forget to let us know where you're listening from. When someone leaves a room, whether they leave the room, the people, not us, how we left the room, but when someone leaves a room and they leave it angry, empty, disheartened, disillusioned, feeling betrayed, frustrated, oh my God, burnt out, just tired. Why? All of that, because you work in healthcare. So don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You do. When someone leaves a room like that, the first place they walk is into another room. So now instead of leaving the room, for those of you who are in the second room, how do you receive that? How can you help them leave that second room better? Hi, Tammy. That question wasn't on the list. Welcome to the hot seat.
Hey.
Hey. How do you? Yeah.
I love that. I love that because you're exactly right. And, we talk about don't take it personal. And I love to, I can sit here all day. And I used to love that when I would go see leaders speak or listen to the John Maxwell conferences or things like that. And I would hear these, oh my gosh, always leave the room with a smile, never leave angry. And it's, oh, that's so easy. I'll just put a smile on my face and I want the next person to be, I want to raise them better than I raised myself, all that fun stuff. And it sounds great but what do you do when you're in it? Like, because we can train all day long, but when you're in it, it's hard to take yourself out of it. So that is the whatever we call it, the 10-second pause, whatever your name is for it, practice it. Because otherwise, if you don't take that pause and you have left that room angry and defeated and whatever, and especially in sterile processing, so you're coming out of this collaborative interdisciplinary meeting that you just had with the OR and the operating room liaisons and yourself and the SPD managers and your vice president of surgical services, and you've left that room and you're feeling really good about the way you left that room because in your brain, you just left with great process improvements. You just gave some cold, hard data. You proved your point. You won, girl. You just killed it.
Yeah.
They're walking into that operating room going, I told you she didn't know what she was doing. You are not going to believe what she just said she wants to do. Like, this is our new, blah, 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 blah. Because you didn't explain, you didn't speak to the why. So now your second room is, what are they? They're not hurt. They're not defeated. They're defensive and they're mad.
Yeah.
Because she may have done it to you in that meeting, but she's not going to do that to me in OR 10. I can tell you that right now.
Yes. And now the priority is not what process works better. Now it's who's right and whose way is going to win.
Exactly.
Now we're not fighting for the patient. Now we're fighting for our way and our
now
stand.
It is personal, right?
Yeah.
And so, I literally, the reason I say that is I literally just received a text from one of the surgeons that we work with, stating a vendor had said they're afraid to help us out, afraid to help out with missing instruments because they don't want to get suspended. So I know anyone on this thread right now that knows me or has even worked with me for more than 5 minutes knows I'm not the type that goes out and goes, hey, you get a suspension and you get a suspension. But obviously I left that room with that vendor a certain way. I left that room with him feeling defensive. And this is where, I can't put his feelings before mine because I shouldn't have done anything. I can't be responsible for his feelings. We gave data, we had a conversation, but somehow I left him in that room in his anger, in his fear, in his misunderstanding, and it carried over to room 2. So then when I walk into room 2, now I'm up against some defensiveness, some emotional hurt because this is his best friend. How dare you make his best friend feel like he's worked with him for 25 years? Who do you think you are 10 months later coming in here doing that to my friend?
Yeah.
So now I've got to leave this room with a sense of understanding and knowledge of, I'm not sure where that came from, but this is the discussion that I had. So
how do you, so in your experience, or in your opinion, how do you prepare yourself to leave a room better than it was, even knowing that you may be walking into a room that you don't know what's really in the room? You don't know if they're going to understand the decisions you made. You don't know if they're going to want to engage in the changes. Everybody loves change when it's their idea, but when it creates a difference in their path or a deviation in what their routine, that change is not loved as much. So how do you prepare yourself to enter those rooms?
Well, I could tell you definitely one of my areas improvement opportunity for improvement. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight, Sharyn. I can't speak.
5 a.m. is coming.
Yeah, right. 50 things in my brain is when something seems silly, and this is, I'm saying this is where I have a lot of room for improvement in my own room. When something seems very important to someone in that room and they keep bringing it up, and I'm terrible about this because to me it seems very silly and I discount it. Do you think they hear anything I say after that? So I try to prep myself by going into the room with my listening ears on. Like, no matter how silly that seems to me and my feelings, I need to accept that this is important to them and then find out why it's important to them. And usually you can leave that room in a much better space, not even by offering a solution, but just by listening and saying, hey, I'd love to talk to those team members involved in that. I'd love to get with them and find out what the root cause is, and I don't use that corporate speak, but I would love to talk to them. A lot of times people, if you have your listening ears on, like, honestly, it seems so simple, but trust me, when you walk into that room and it feels like the lion's den, your ears and your face are the first thing you cover up. And if your smile is your best offensive weapon and your head down and your ears covered and you're doing this, you've lost before you've even said one word. And people feel that. A lot of times people are just saying things because no one's listened. So if you're that first person that listens, even if you don't do what they're asking, you've got a friend, you've got an ally, and you've left that room with someone feeling valued instead of leaving that room with someone feeling, see, she's just like all the other ones. Nobody cares.
All right. Thank you so much. As we bring it to a close, see, it's already been 40 minutes.
No.
Yes, you see it in the corner. You see it. I'm telling you. I love it. Sonia says, Sonia is a dynamic professional in the healthcare and has a heart. She has a big heart. She has a big heart. She don't want nobody to know, but she has a big heart. But yeah, it's like boom, boom. She cares about people. But she says, always give the way. Decisions have to be made and all may not understand. But if they know why a decision was made, they can sometimes accept it better. I wish she was on so I could ask her to share more about that, but I see you nodding. What do you take from this statement?
Well, I mean, and we could go down 1,000 different pathways with this, and sterile processing could be, and I agree with you. She is an awesome person and heart of gold, exceptional leader. Yeah. We say it all the time, speak to the why. If it's as simple as, hey, you know what? We've been sterilizing these safety pins for 25 years. They manufacture some that come sterile, and we've been buying these at Hobby Lobby. We need to quit doing that because, there's no IFU for this. Nobody's going to like that, but you've spoken to the why, you've laid it out to them. Don't say, hey, you've been doing it wrong for 25 years. I've used those words before, but always speak to the why. And she's right. Always give the way, always show them why do we have to change that? Because sometimes, if it's been working for the operating room or working for that frontline technician for the last 20 years, in their brain, it's been working. And now you're coming in and you're messing up their whole entire house. They just spent 25 years cleaning that room, right? And you just came in here and you took the garbage can, you went right in the middle of the floor and you went, had to be done, I'm out. So explain to them, hey, I dropped my 2.5 carat diamond ring down into that trash. I'm going to dump it out on the floor so that I can find the ring. But don't worry, rest easy, friend. I will pick all that trash up and I will vacuum this rug. And this room will look better than it did when I walked in.
So you are leaving the room better. That is so good. There's so many more things I want to say, but again, I want to honor your time. Thank you, Sonia, Veronica. I think I saw Sherry, Drayton. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. The last thing I want to say as far as challenging everyone, leadership, guys, leadership is something that's visible. And to me, it's like somebody who works out all the time and you see them and you're like, wow, their physique looks nice. Not sexualizing or objectifying anything, but their physique looks nice. Man, they don't have a 6-pack, they have an 8-pack. Wow. Leadership can be like that. Like you see something and you're like, wow, that's that. But understand the same way they are doing things while somebody else is taking a nap or eating a bowl of ice cream, they're going without carbs and doing all kind of sit-ups. Leadership is like that. The majority of the work is behind the scenes, and people will look at it and pull their own things from it. And it's a lot of shoulds when it comes to leadership. That's why communication is so important in managing expectations. But if you're a leader, I just want to say kudos to you first off, because everybody says they want to be one. But once you're one, you get a real understanding. You have a real understanding. It's not, I'm in charge. It's like, oh my God, I have to, how do I lead these people, the masses? How do I lead these people in the right way while navigating all these intersectionality things? It's all of that, and still leave the room better, and still mentor somebody, and still speak life into somebody, and still show somebody something that is a tool that can help them in their professional or personal development. And how do I do all of this without a heavy heart? That's what leadership is. So if you're a leader, I just want to say kudos to you. Thanks for being a leader. My challenge is to you, for you to leave the room better. And when you're connecting with other leaders, or maybe if you're not even a positional leader, but you are around other leaders and they leave a room, and maybe on that day they left the room frustrated. Maybe they were promised some money for FTEs or for some equipment, and now they went into this big interdisciplinary meeting with all of the hospital departments, and the money was gone before it came around for you to have an opportunity to speak. These are real things. They happen every day. And so if that person is leaving a room and they are disheartened, disillusioned, disappointed, we're human. We have these feelings. Stop acting like we don't. We have these feelings. We don't live in them, but we have them. Then please be the person that speaks life into that leader so that they don't leave another room and another room with only that disappointment or disillusion. I said a lot there. I hope it made sense to you guys. If it didn't, we're going to give Tammy the credit for it, not me. But yeah, as your leaders, I just want to challenge you to see how you leave the room. Choose to leave the room better, even if it's not your room. Even if it's somebody coming into the room you're in, help them leave that room better too. That's all I have to say. Tammy, what would you like to share as we're going to move on? Guys, connect with Tammy on LinkedIn.
Yes, please. I would say, especially if it's not your room. We hear that so often, stay in your lane, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. Look, we're one big, whether you're in healthcare or marketing, there's 18,000 different departments in your industry. And I do understand the stay in your lane, but every once in a while, we're all in the same room, right? So we're all in that same lane if we're in the same room. So
Yeah.
if it's not your room, help, like Sharyn said, help that leader understand why they don't want to leave that room empty or why they shouldn't leave that room. Find the positive, help them find the positive in it. As Sharyn said, and this was something I figured out, unfortunately, very early in my leadership career. Being in leadership means you are rarely in charge. And when you grow up and not having control over your life. Yeah. So sometimes that's why people go into leadership, because they are striving for that control and that sense of being in charge for once in their life. You find out real quick when you're in leadership, you are rarely in charge of anything, and you have to become comfortable with that very quick. And so I just want to say, leave the room better, leave the room with a smile, leave it comfortable. Nobody cares if you spend $20,000 on decorations. If you walk in and everybody's like, oh, I don't want to touch anything. We all want the big kufi couch, right? Leave the room with the big kufi couch and a smile.
Amen. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, guys. My last question here is, where can leaders, influencers, and role models go for support? We're not going to answer that. I'm just going to tell you, if you are interested in that, please connect with me. Connect with me, connect with Tammy. There are people out there. I say every time we're on the show, connect with these individuals on LinkedIn. One of the best things about the pandemic, with all of its horrors and oh my gods, one of the best things is that our world got smaller.
Yeah.
Virtually, we are able to really connect, and we learned how to connect with one another. Even if I've never physically shaken your hand, we have some professional relationships where we're able to get solutions virtually and connect with people virtually. So do that, reach out, ping people on LinkedIn. Also, plug for Scrub Ball. Scrub Ball is next June. There's going to be support there. Okay. I know there's support other places too. This plug is going to be for Scrub Ball because, again, it is really focusing on healthcare leadership. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to know that deals with interdisciplinary and intersectionality within the hospital and within healthcare systems. I'm done, Tammy. Thank you so much. Are there any final questions? Any final kudos for Tammy? Connect with her. Tell her Sharyn sent you. Connect with her on LinkedIn. All right, then I don't think I have anything else. So I'm going to play a couple of commercials. Everyone have a great night. Y'all be safe. For those of you who don't know, this will be showing on the Knowledge and Nonsense Network here in a few moments. So if you heard something good, tell somebody to come and listen, and hopefully it'll give them inspiration, encouragement, love, and even some strength. Let us blow some life into you. Yes. That's it. Y'all be safe. God bless.
Sharyn.
No, man. Thank you so much. Love it much. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Do you want greater success and satisfaction in your career? Do you have ideas that you desire to contribute? Then it's time to invest in you. Imagine you building and managing a high-performance team, managing conflict and difficult conversations, understanding financial management and budgeting, creating and implementing strategic plans, building and maintaining relationships with stakeholders. Our programs are designed and tailored for individuals seeking to grow and succeed in their leadership roles. UCDI's Change the Narrative Progressive Leadership is a mid-level leadership program designed specifically to develop the skills and knowledge necessary to take on greater leadership responsibilities in a sustainably scalable format. So, if you're tired of seeing ineffective processes, unhealthy work distribution, lack of follow-through and accountability, and you want to be an answer for yourself and for your team, then this is the program for you. Contact UCDI Leadership at info@ucdileadership.com or text LEADERSHIP to 214-717-5921. The future depends on many things, but mostly it depends on you.